Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live, the Wake Up Everybody podcast. And who else to have but the last great mayor of Oakland, the great Elihu Harris. How are you, sir?
Man, every day is a good day when you wake up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, man, always good to catch up with you. Let's talk about the current national events first. It looks like old Agent Orange Julius Caesar had to back off his blow up Iran demands. Where do you see this? How do you see this playing out?
Well, I think it's a long-term struggle. I don't think it's going to end in the next 2 weeks. I think that Donald Trump is a blowhard, a bully, uh, and he's got all this military hardware at his disposal, and he's going to try to get Iran to buckle under. And I think that they have ideology and a commitment to what they're doing, and I don't think they're just going to go away because of his threats. So I think the real question is, are they going to be able to find a peaceful accord, or is this thing going to continue until there's just forced upon them by the sheer catastrophe that will exist when they start blowing up the strait and keeping those ships from getting through, and the oil prices get so high that everybody gets them to come to the table and resolve this. But this is not something where reasonable people are involved, and that includes both Iran and Donald Trump.
The latest just in today, uh, Iran is saying they're closing the Strait of Hormuz because Israel already violated the ceasefire by bombing a surrounding country. Was it Lebanon? I forget where it was.
Hezbollah, yeah, Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, here we are right back at this negotiating table again.
Well, Donald Trump controls Israel. They're not going to do anything. It's like, hey, the only reason they're bad and big and whatever is because they got a bully behind them. So Iran is not scared of Israel. They're scared of the U.S. And as a result of that, if the U.S. tells Israel to back off, stop it, they will stop. Because they understand that it's the U.S. Power that gives them power. They don't have it alone, and probably the whole Middle East would rebel against them if they didn't have the United States as an ally.
Well, here's a question for you. And has anybody heard or seen Bibi Netanyahu lately?
No, but he's still lurking in the shadows. And I'm confident that basically he's not being seen, but he's certainly being felt. The attacks on Lebanon are certainly engineered by him. He's really a right wing bigot from Europe. He has no sympathy for anyone. He's obviously pro Israel. I'm not sure he's pro anybody else other than his own country and certainly his own religion. So I don't have a lot of respect for him, but he's obviously got the power of the United States military behind him, plus certainly the forces of Israel. And, he's a significant player because of those things.
Yeah, but he's such a media horror, for lack of a better
Right.
analogy. Don't you find it unusual that in 2 weeks he hasn't made one statement?
Because he's letting his actions speak for himself. He does not want to be held accountable by being visible or making statements. Look, when you see the bombs that are going off, the people that are being killed, what speaks louder than that?
I guess so, but the rumor has it that he's either killed or he's buried deep in a bunker somewhere.
Well, he may be buried deep in a bunker, but he's not dead.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
If he was dead, they would use that as an excuse.
You're right. You're right. Well, here's another thing that a lot of people aren't talking about is the Israeli people have been railing against the Israeli government even long before this Haran started because of what's going on in Gaza. And the other flip side of that question is now that this Iran thing is taking center stage, we haven't heard anything about what's going on in Gaza.
Look, the right wing government, whether it's in the United States or Israel, are basically holding the cards. They're running the government, they're setting the agenda, and then, quite frankly, they're carrying out their political will. Protests mean nothing to them. If you believe that God is on your side or that you have the power, they do what they want to until something stops them. And I don't think it's politics. I think the political agenda in Israel is being generated dictated by the right. That's who is the coalition that is currently running Israel. And they're not really interested in what the protesters are saying. As long as they got power, they're going to carry out their will.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a video that went viral. News broadcasters from Israel had a countdown clock after 47 made the statement that if they don't open up the Strait of Hormuz, he was going to bomb them back into the Stone Ages, and they were actually counting down based on his timeline.
Well, look, these people are not, in my opinion, humanists. They are Zionists. And we can argue about what a Zionist is, but I think the actions speak louder than words. We've seen them with reckless abandon go after anyone who's weaker. Certainly, we're not seeing anything about conciliation. Again, it is what it is. And we're here in the United States and we're kind of watching it because we're not impacted on a daily basis by it. But hey, the people in the Middle East, this is real. And yet Netanyahu and Trump seem to have a coalition that is inexplicable in terms of how far they're willing to go to deal with Iran and, quite frankly, anyone else who stands up against them.
As someone who's been in politics a good portion of your life, state assembly, of course, two great terms of mayor of Oakland and then even the chancellor of Peralta Colleges, what does it say about a leader that on Easter Sunday puts out a curse-filled tirade and then gonna mock Islam by saying all praise is due to Allah? As someone who is a sensible leader, how does that rub you when you hear that kind of nonsense?
But what do you say about a leader who holds the Bible upside down? I mean, he is who he is. And some people want to fool themselves and say that he's not mean, that he's not someone who's the Antichrist. I don't fool myself. Donald Trump is evil personified, an egotistical, maniacal fool. But he's the leader of this country because we allow him to be, and nothing will stop him until either the end of his term or the end of his life.
Last question about this whole movement right now, and then we'll shift to some local stuff. What does it say about the followers, though? I mean, he's got millions and millions of followers. It's no matter what that man says or does, they justify it and think it's okay. What does that say about where this country is right now?
Well, people react to their pain. Some people are concerned about the high price of groceries and gasoline. Some people are concerned because they just can't tolerate the inconsistency and the hypocrisy. Hopefully, a majority of those people show up at the polls in November and at least send a message that enough is enough. And we won't know until November as to whether or not he's going to lose control of the House and the Senate. I saw the odds today at 50-50 as to whether or not the Republicans lose both the House and the Senate. That would be a message that he would not necessarily accept, but certainly feel.
And finally, and how far gone is this dude when people who I thought were detestable, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, when those people are calling him evil and being some of his staunchest critics?
Well, because they're true conservatives. He's not a true conservative. Like I said, he's an egotistical man whose politics and ideology are whatever he wants them to be at the moment. There's no consistent conservacy. He's not a conservative. He's quite frankly maybe a libertarian, but he's certainly not someone who practices a conservative philosophy on a consistent basis. It's much more about what's in his interest, what he's feeling at the moment, and what his ego directs him to do. So if you have people who are really conservative, then at least they're consistent. You know where they're coming from. You understand the logic or illogic of their arguments, and again, they're fairly predictable. He's very unpredictable, other than what he believes to be in his interest and what his will believes he can achieve. So, again, I believe that Tucker Carlson and Mark, they're real conservatives. He's not.
Well, let's shift to Oakland, which is a city that we love, and I want to talk about your service as a two-term mayor and your political vision. I remember right before you got out of office, Oakland had like a 25-year low in the murder rate, a 32-year low in the murder rate. And I want to give you your flowers about your vision. Tell the story of how, when you first got in office, you invited all the drug dealers to the mayor's office to talk about how we could stop the violence.
Well, it was really clear to them. I thought self-interest was a motivating factor. I said, look, I'm not the police. I'm not here to arrest you, but the police are. I said, and in 5 years, everybody in this room will either be dead or in jail. I said,
Mm.
you have potential, you're intelligent, but you're on a short road to hell. And I think you ought to take the opportunity. I will help you get a job. I'll help you get to college. Whatever you want to do to change your life, I'm willing to help you. And most of them said, no, look, I got baby mamas. I got my mama to take care of. I got to do what I got to do. I said, but you're going to get killed. Hey, that's what you got to risk. That's the risk that I take in order to achieve the results that I'm achieving. So nobody got out of it at the time, but certainly within 5 years, everybody in that room was in jail or dead.
Wow, I imagine I'm just putting myself in that room with you. I imagine it was real tense in there with the rival cats looking at each other across the table.
No, quite frankly, very calm and very frank. They said this is about economics. I said, so you would kill somebody, I'd do what I got to do. It wasn't like I want to kill anybody, but hey, if I need to, if they cross me, if they're in my way, yes, they're expendable. So I thought it was a frank conversation. I didn't feel scared or intimidated. I felt they were telling me how they felt and they were honest. So, again, I wanted to make sure I gave them an alternative because I felt that was my responsibility. They were young men, they were intelligent, but they just quite frankly saw this as the path to either success, economic or otherwise. And I couldn't deter them from it.
But that, again, not to beat a dead horse, but that speaks to the vision of your leadership. I'm imagining there hasn't been too many mayors in Oakland and maybe any other city since you did that that would even think to take that tactic.
Well, look, my job as mayor was to try to help promote, maximize human potential. And that includes the drug dealers and other criminals. If no one ever gave you an alternative and you only knew one way to achieve your life goals, I believe that we have some responsibility in that. But I felt that at least I had given people an opportunity to follow a different path. And that was my responsibility to say, look, there's an alternative. You don't have to do what you're doing. If nobody ever asked them, then I think they have certainly a reasonable defense to say, hey, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anyone that ever told me there was another way to go. This is all I know. I wanted to make sure that they couldn't say that about me.
Wow, that's great. And of course, this is where how we first met in 1997, when my daughter was unfortunately murdered. But I gotta again give you your flowers, man. That's why we became as close as we are. You opened up the city hall. I'll never forget. You were trying to give us a building, but we didn't think it was big enough.
Right, right,
You
right,
had all the city heads around the table, and we was like, "Nah, we want the Carnation building or
right,
nothing,"
right. Right.
But then,
That was the building you wanted. That was the building you
and
wanted.
now somebody's in there. By the way, a few little groups are in there.
Oh, okay. Well, let me say this, Don. What you had was a vision, and it wasn't vengeance. It was repair, heal, grow, change. Very few people who are connected to victims of violence have that heart. So I'm not giving you flowers. I'm giving you credit for being bigger than the moment and being willing to see a long-term vision, one of redemption, which you've demonstrated throughout the time that I've known you. So I think we all have a sense that, hey, we care about humanity. We want to make a difference with our lives. Our faith is something we speak out loud. So, again, we need more people who have that as a focus. And there are plenty of people out there who do. Our voices have not been loud enough to make the changes that we all would like to see. But hey, we're not going to stop trying.
Yeah, and again, I'll never forget you gave us access to the city council chambers, and we made history that night due in partial due to you because that was the first time a community group had been given access. We were sitting on the dais with the city
Right.
council, and I remember, man, I know you remember this too. There was a line all the way down the
Yeah.
stairs.
Yeah.
This was, and I'll add, this was December 18th, 1997, a week before Christmas. And I was struck that night that somehow what the unfortunate incident that befell my daughter, touched a nerve in the community because the city council chambers were packed upstairs, downstairs. There was about 600 people hanging all out. And I thought, wow, this is really a seminal watershed moment to really do something about this scourge of violence.
Well, like I said, Don, you didn't just deal with the emotion of the moment. You dealt with the commitment to change, and that change and that commitment continues. That's the real headline. There are a lot of people who feel the spirit, feel the emotion of the moment, but it fades. You not allow that to fade. The memory of your daughter, nor the commitment to try and redeem those who fall into those pathways. And hey, that commitment, I think, is something that inspires all of us. Certainly, it inspires me.
And man, thank you so much. I'll say this over the air. I'm grateful I am. Now let's wrap this up on a more positive note. Here's something that you and I always like to wax poetically about the glory days of Oakland. In fact, my comedy special that I'm shooting is called Back in the Day is a homage to talk about for people who never got to experience the greatness of Oakland in the 50s, 60s, 70s before it went crazy.
Well, certainly for young people, there were house parties, there were clubs, there was safety. You know, you didn't worry about getting shot, you didn't worry about getting robbed. There were restaurants open 24 hours a day. You go to Chinatown, you can go to Biff's, you can go to Quickway, you go to all kind of places at all hours of the night. Uh, there were places to go, things to do, and there was not a sense of fear that you were not going to come home in the morning because you were out all night. Uh, that's a change that we've seen continue to deteriorate the quality of life for young people and for everyone. I think we've got to really try to get back to going to the motto of Oakland: love life, treasure each other. You know, we have is each other, and if we don't work together, we will suffer the penalties, the circumstance that has dictated others who fail to grasp life and help fail to find common ground upon which to build our collective future.
That's very well said. Well, what were some of Elihu Harris's go-to spots back in the day? I know mine was Ivy's. And I'll never forget, I saw Phyllis Hyman at the Circle Star, and later that night, she came to Ivy's and got up and did a song with the band, the house band, and we were eating fish and grits. I mean, man, Shangri-La.
Before that, it was Doggy Diner. You better be real. You didn't have enough money to go to Ivy's at that point in your life. You were down there in Doggy Diner with the pimps and the
Yes,
ladies of
I
the evening.
was. And
Hey
my
man,
mama passed by one day and caught me and whooped my behind right there in front of everybody.
hey man, look, you know what? That was part of the Oakland. It was relatively safe, but she was just concerned because you were breaking her rules.
Yeah.
But the idea that there were places where you go, and even the pimps and the prostitute had love for young people and didn't
Yes.
want them necessarily to follow their path, but certainly gave them a sense of talking to them. In some cases, saying, "Look, don't do what I'm doing. I'm doing it because of my circumstance. I'm not doing it because it's right." Um, and you know, we've kind of now following people who not only lead us down pathways that are wrong, but quite frankly, don't really care about young people or our collective future. So, you know, again, uh, Oakland was a different place where there was the Black Filmmakers Hall of Fame, or
Yes.
the sports teams that we had, or the department stores, the all of the things that we thought all throughout the city. There were grocery stores in every part of the city. There was, you know, restaurants in every part of the city. There were clubs that Black folks owned, liquor stores. You know, we were in every form of business, insurance, funeral homes, everything you can think of. We provided for our own community. Did not have to cross lines to get what we needed, geographic, ethnic, or otherwise. So the bottom line is we've got to go back to developing that sense of community. We're all in it together. We rise or fall together. And if we don't begin to understand that, then failure is the only option.
Was Lady Esther's one of your spots to go eat?
Listen, Lady Esther's, Lois the Pie
Lois?
Queen. There were all kind of places to go that, Pearls. You probably never got
Earl.
to Pearls. Pearls was on San Pablo, about 27th and San
That's right.
Pablo. And for $5, you got a plate of food that you can take leftovers home for dinner. You get meatloaf, black eyed peas, rice and gravy, a big old piece of cake, and a big glass of cold milk.
Oh.
And hey, and the only thing that you had to worry about is the preachers were there, they got served first.
What was the
You were
other guy?
always second to the pastors.
Yeah,
So
what was
pastors
what
came
was the
in,
yeah, what was the other spot? The brother, the man, he was kind of short and he was salty, the soul food place. I think it was
uh,
uh
let me tell you, there was big,
if
hey,
I said
look,
it, you know it. It escapes
hey,
me right.
look, there were Big Daddy's Fish. There was S&S on Telegraph.
SNS and the
Hey,
Dixons on East 14th.
$5 you get enough fish to feed your family.
That's right. That's right.
So it was like that was the day when basically, hey, the community was real. You felt comfortable, whether you were at a club or a restaurant or wherever you were. You felt like, hey, I'm with my people. They care about me. They have my interest at heart. I'm safe. We got to get back to that sense of community. That sense of community, whether it was the Black Panthers or many other Muslims or any other group, that sense of community was something that we've lost and we've got to restore, not only for ourselves, but for generations yet unborn.
Well, that's a perfect place to wrap this up, man. As always, you hit it way, way out of the park. And I want to compliment before we go your niece, Tajari, man. What a
Yes.
fabulous young lady. She's come through our program. Man, that young lady could be president of the United States if she wanted
Well,
to be.
hey, she wants to go to medical school. She's on the dean's list. She's, like you said, she's a superstar. She cares about people. She's involved in the community. And hey, you made a difference in her life and so many others, Don. That's what we have to continue to do. We have to invest in our young people, particularly those who want to give back, who want to be community contributors. We let too many of these young people slip through our fingers. They find the wrong path, don't find any path at all, whether it's to college or a life fulfilled dream. So I thank you for investing in her, and I want you to. She's going to pay dividends for our community.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the great Elihu Harris. And thank you for reminding me of my doggy diner past.
Well, you're still a dog, but the diner part is not in your life.
Man, I always love and appreciate you, sir. God bless you. Give my best to Dr. Sheila for me, would you?
I will definitely do that, and thank you for always being there to speak for the community. And like I said, stay woke.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. The no shade on any mayor that's been here since, but to my humble opinion, the last great mayor of the city of Oakland, the Honorable Elihu Harris. Stand by. We got more on the Wake Up Everybody podcast. Keep your face in the place.